Midday sunlight danced through the cafe windows of Café Daimler, painting golden stripes across the marble floor. To the outside world, it was just another peaceful day in Naples, waves in the distance, laughter at the corner tables, and the hiss of milk steaming. But for Elena, the young waitress working table to table with a smile that hid exhaustion, peace had become something fragile, something she didn't trust anymore. Elena, early 20s, hair tied neatly, sleeves rolled, focused but visibly tired. Her life was routine. Take the orders. Serve the cappuccinos. Pretend the men in suits at table 7 were just businessmen, not the kind who made people disappear. Doorbell chimes. The cafe door opens. It started with the sound of that little bell. 4 men stepped inside, sharp suits, polished shoes, eyes that scanned every corner before sitting. The kind of men who didn't come for espresso. And leading them was him. Vincenzo Marino enters. Late 30s, calm yet commanding, wearing a light gray suit. Every movement deliberate, his eyes dark and unreadable. Vincenzo Marino. The name people whispered in back alleys, the man who turned street chaos into quiet control. But today he looked different, calm, almost tired, as if carrying the weight of a city that refused to stay still. Elena forces a polite smile as she approaches. Elena softly. Buon pomeriggio, signori. Welcome to Café Daimler. What can I get you? One of the men, younger, restless, checks his watch impatiently. Marco snapping. Just bring water first. The boss will decide. Elena nods, turns, walks away. She felt their eyes follow her, not with interest, but calculation. Something about their silence unnerved her. Even the air around table 7 felt heavier, thicker. Vincenzo's hand stirring his espresso. At first, it seemed like a business lunch. Documents exchanged, quiet voices. But when one of them leaned in, the tone changed. Marco whispering, "It's done. But the shipment, there's a problem." Someone talked. A pause. Vincenzo's spoon stops stirring. The cafe noise fades. Vincenzo low measured. Who? Marco glances nervously toward the window. Marco. Could be the driver. Or someone from the docks. Doesn't matter, I fixed it. Vincenzo looks at him, calm but deadly. Vincenzo. You don't fix by hiding bodies before I ask. You wait for my word. Marco gulps. Silence falls. The tension thickens. Elena tried to mind her own business. She always did. But when she looked toward them again, she noticed something odd. A man outside, across the street, wearing sunglasses, pretending to read a newspaper. His hand twitches inside his jacket. Her stomach dropped. That wasn't a customer waiting for coffee. It was a lookout. And he was waiting for a signal. Elena returns with a tray of water. Her hand trembles slightly. Elena nervously. Here you are, signori. Still or sparkling? Vincenzo without looking up. Still. As she sets down the glasses, her eyes flicker. She catches something in the reflection of the spoon beside him. A man at the far counter adjusting something metallic under his coat. Her pulse spiked. 2 men. One inside, one outside, both waiting. The deal at table 7 wasn't business. It was an execution waiting to happen. Elena steps back toward the counter, pretending to fix the register. She needed to warn him. But how? Speaking could get her killed. Looking too long could draw attention. She glances at the bill printer spitting out receipts. Then it hit her. If she couldn't say the words, she could write them. Elena grabs a pen, hands shaking. She circles 3 lines printed on the bill's text, connecting them to form a chilling message. Gunman behind you. Deal gone wrong. Exit now. Her breath catches. She folds the bill discreetly and walks back. Every step toward that table felt like walking through fire. Each heartbeat echoed louder in her ears. She sets the bill on the table with the calmest smile she can fake. Elena. Whenever you're ready, sir. She turns to walk away, her heart pounding so hard she feels dizzy. Vincenzo's hand unfolding the bill. His eyes flicker once. Then he stops moving. He read it, and she knew the moment he did, because everything inside him went still. The man who controlled entire neighborhoods now sat frozen, holding a waitress's warning like it was the last truth he'd ever read. Vincenzo's gaze lifts toward the cafe's glass wall, reflection showing the man behind him adjusting his jacket again. Vincenzo quietly. Marco. Marco leans forward, confused. Vincenzo low, deadly. Don't move. Marco's eyes dart to the reflection. Realization hits him too late. The cafe door creaks. A shadow steps inside. The gun gleams. The silence before death is the loudest thing in the world. Elena heard the door, the hinge, the faint jingle of the bell. And in that single second, everything inside her screamed to run. The gunman raises his weapon. Elena whispers, "Oh no." Vincenzo flips the table just as the trigger is pulled. A deafening gunshot shatters the cafe's calm. Glass exploded. Plates shattered. Customers screamed. And as daylight burst into chaos, Elena hit the floor behind the counter, hands over her head, heart pounding so loud she could barely hear her own breath. Vincenzo ducks, fires back once. The bullet hits the gunman's arm. He stumbles back through the doorway. The mafia boss she had just saved was now fighting for his life inside her cafe. Smoke and chaos fill the air. People rush out. Elena peeks over the counter, sees Vincenzo, gun drawn, eyes scanning. Then, their eyes met. Just for a second. Not boss and waitress. Not criminal and civilian. But two people caught between fate and instinct. Vincenzo gives her a small, almost imperceptible nod, a silent thank you or maybe run. Elena hesitates, then crawls to help a fallen customer. Even as bullets flew, she refused to leave anyone behind. Fear trembled through her, but something deeper took over. Courage, raw and shaking, but real. Vincenzo reloads, mutters to his men. "Vincenzo, they found us too early." Someone talked. Marco shouts back, "Boss, the car's still outside." Vincenzo, "Then we go through the back." He glances toward Elena once more, noticing her frozen near the counter. Vincenzo to her, "You come with us." "It's not safe here." Elena shakes her head. "Elena, I can't, there are people." Another gunshot. Glass bursts near her head. She flinches. Vincenzo firm. "Now." Elena finally rushes toward the back with them. The cafe is filled with smoke, alarms ringing, shattered sunlight pouring through broken glass. Outside, the city still looked normal, sunlight, cars, voices. But inside Café Daimler, everything had changed. As Vincenzo turns back for one last glance, sees movement in the reflection of a spoon on the floor. In that reflection, another man stood at the far corner, gun raised. The second shooter. And this time, Elena saw it first. She gasps, pointing desperately. Elena screaming, "Behind you." Gunshot echoes. The moment the gun went off, time split in two, before and after. The sound shattered what little calm was left. Elena's scream faded under the ringing in her ears. The gunman's bullet slices through the sunlight, shattering a glass bottle behind Vincenzo. The bullet missed by inches. Vincenzo spun around, his coat flaring like smoke. One clean shot, and the man behind the counter dropped his gun, clutching his arm. Glass crunches underfoot. Screams outside. Sirens faint in the distance. Vincenzo shouting, "Move! Everyone move!" He gestures to his men, scanning the exits. Smoke drifts through the broken window. The cafe, once bright with daylight, now looked like a war zone. Chairs overturned. Tables splintered. And in the middle of it all, a waitress who'd changed the fate of a mafia boss. Elena crouches behind the counter, trembling but alert. She sees blood on the floor, not hers. Vincenzo's arm is bleeding. Elena whispers, "You're hit." Vincenzo glances at her, voice steady. "Not enough to stop me. Go through the back." She shakes her head, voice shaking. "Elena, I'm not leaving you here." Vincenzo studies her for a second, confusion and respect flicker in his eyes. "Vincenzo, then stay close." He signals to Marco. "Vincenzo, cover the door. They'll come again." Outside, faint footsteps. Shadows moving behind the glass. Another car screeches to a halt. The kitchen door bursts open. Elena leads the way. The smell of smoke and gunpowder fills the air. They slip through the kitchen, past the boiling espresso machines and shattered cups, into the narrow back alley where sunlight poured like a blade. But the silence there felt wrong. Pigeons scatter. A black car idles nearby. Someone sits inside, engine running. Vincenzo quietly. "They're waiting." He leans against the wall, pressing a napkin against his bleeding arm. "Elena, we can go through the alley behind the bakery. It connects to Via Roma." Vincenzo nods once. "Lead the way." As they move, a voice calls out from behind, echoing in the alley. Luca off screen. "Boss!" "Wait." Vincenzo freezes. Turns. His trusted right-hand man, Luca, runs toward them, gun holstered, breathless. To anyone else, Luca looked like a friend rushing to help. But Vincenzo's eyes narrowed. Something didn't feel right. Vincenzo slowly. Where were you when the shooting started? Luca avoiding eye contact. I was outside, making sure the car was clear. A car door slams nearby. The engine roars. Elena tugs Vincenzo's sleeve nervously. Elena whispers. He's lying. She didn't know how she knew. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the same voice that told her to circle those words earlier. But she was right. Luca's hand slides slowly toward his jacket. Vincenzo coldly. Don't. Luca freezes, too late. Vincenzo draws and fires. The bullet grazes Luca's shoulder. He screams and runs toward the car. Betrayal hit harder than the bullet. The man Vincenzo trusted most had just turned on him. Luca dives into the car. Tires screech as it speeds away. Vincenzo grimly. Then it's true. Someone sold me out. He leans against the wall, catching his breath. Handheld close-up of Elena's trembling hands as she presses cloth against Vincenzo's wound. Elena softly. You're losing too much blood. Let me. Vincenzo interrupts, calm but fading. I've had worse. His voice was steady, but his eyes told another story, fatigue, pain, and something deeper, guilt. Elena tears a piece from her apron and ties it around his arm tightly. Elena, who are they? Why are they doing this? Vincenzo looks up, meeting her eyes. Vincenzo, they're not police. They're not rivals. They're supposed to be my own men. He exhales deeply, eyes distant. Vincenzo, I came here to stop a war between families. Someone decided peace wasn't profitable. Elena, so they turned on you. He gives a faint smirk. Vincenzo, in my world, loyalty lasts only until the next bag of money. He starts walking again, slowly, leaning on her shoulder for support. Daylight painted their escape like a crime scene. Every shadow looked like a trap, every echo like a gun's click. And still, she didn't run. Elena glances behind them, no one. But above, on a rooftop, a faint glint of metal catches sunlight. Elena urgent whisper. Sniper. Get down. Vincenzo grabs her, pushing both of them behind a dumpster. The bullet hits the wall above them, sending dust and brick raining down. Vincenzo gritting teeth. They're serious. They don't want me leaving this street alive. Elena panting. Then we don't give them what they want. She points toward an alleyway leading to the old fish market. Elena. Through there. It connects to the port. He hesitates, then nods. They move, fast, low, silent. They emerge into an open-air market, vendors shouting, seagulls circling, the smell of salt and diesel in the air. It felt almost absurd, stepping out of chaos into sunlight, surrounded by normal life. But that's how danger hides best, in daylight, among the ordinary. Elena pulls Vincenzo toward a stall, pretending to browse fruit as two black-suited men pass by the opposite corner. Vendor smiling. You two look like you've seen a ghost. Elena forces a shaky laugh. Elena. Something like that. She buys 2 apples, hands one to Vincenzo. His hand trembles slightly as he takes it. Vincenzo quietly. You shouldn't have stayed, Elena. You had nothing to do with this. Elena. Maybe. But if I hadn't said something, you'd be dead. He looks at her, really looks at her now. Vincenzo. Not many people warn me twice in one day. She shrugs, faint smile. Elena. Maybe you're not as scary as people say. For a moment, a flicker of warmth, human, fragile, before the sound of distant tires screeching kills it. The illusion shattered. Somewhere behind them, the hunt had started again. Vincenzo's phone buzzes. He checks it, a single message from an unknown number. Ended before nightfall. A chill ran through him. The words weren't meant for him, they were meant for Luca. Which meant the traitor was still close. He crushes the phone in his hand, dropping the pieces into the sea. Vincenzo low. We move now. They reach an abandoned warehouse near the docks. Dust motes float in sunlight slicing through broken windows. The air inside was heavy with the smell of salt and oil. It was quiet, too quiet. Elena helps him sit against a crate. She looks around, scanning the shadows. Elena. Is this your hideout? Vincenzo shakes head. It was. Years ago. He leans back, wincing in pain. Vincenzo. Everything used to start here. Every deal. Every betrayal. Elena sighs, sits beside him. The silence stretches between them. Elena. Why not leave? Why stay in that world? He doesn't answer immediately. Then quietly, Vincenzo, when you build something from the dirt, you can't just walk away. And when you finally try, the dirt follows you. His eyes haunted. Then footsteps echo faintly from outside. Elena whispers, "Someone's here." Vincenzo pulls out his gun, nods toward a side wall. The sound was soft, measured, deliberate, not the reckless rush of an ambush. This was someone who knew where to find him. The door creaks open slowly. A tall man in plain clothes steps in, holding a badge in one hand, a gun in the other. "Man, Vincenzo Marino, you're under arrest." Elena freezes. Vincenzo stays silent. And that's how fate likes to play. Just when you think you've escaped one enemy, it introduces another. The badge glints in the light. Detective Romano. Vincenzo dryly. Of course. The law finally decides to show up, when the criminals are already dead. Romano's steady voice. "Put the gun down, Marino. You're surrounded." Elena steps forward instinctively. Elena. "Wait, he's hurt." "He's saved." Romano interrupts, coldly. "He's a murderer." Don't make the mistake of thinking he's the victim here. Vincenzo's eyes darken, hand tightening on his gun. The air in the warehouse turned electric. One wrong move and blood would stain the floor again. Elena stood between a wounded mafia boss and a police detective with a gun drawn. And she didn't know which one was more dangerous. Elena's face, torn, terrified, determined. Sometimes, the hardest thing isn't choosing between right and wrong. It's realizing both sides have their own kind of darkness. The warehouse stood still, caught between light and shadow. 3 figures, 3 guns, 3 different truths. And one heartbeat away from chaos. Vincenzo, wounded, gripping his gun. Detective Romano stands tall, badge glinting. Elena, between them, trembling but unbroken. Romano commanding, "Put it down, Marino. You're done running." Vincenzo calm, voice cold. "I don't run. I just choose where I bleed." Elena steps forward, voice trembling. "Elena, please both of you stop. There are people outside. If they find us." Romano snaps his gaze to her. "Romano, who are you to tell me what's happening here, huh? You think you know who this man is?" "Elena, I know he's hurt. I know he's been betrayed. And I know whoever's after him doesn't care who they kill next, including you." Romano's eyes narrow. For a moment, her words cut through the tension. For the first time, the detective hesitated. Maybe it was the sincerity in her eyes, or maybe he'd seen enough blood today to recognize when someone was telling the truth. Sudden noise, footsteps crunching gravel outside. Romano whispers, "Down. Now." They duck behind crates as shadows move across the warehouse windows. The silence cracked again, the kind that comes before bullets. Outside, 2 cars pull up. Men in dark coats step out, guns in hand. Luca's voice echoes faintly. Lukiov screams, shouting, "Spread out. He's inside. Don't let anyone out alive." Romano looks at Vincenzo. Romano hissing, "Your people?" Vincenzo, "Not anymore." Romano clenches his jaw, realizing the scale of it. Romano, "Then we're all targets now." That was the moment the lines blurred, cop and criminal, waitress and witness. When survival becomes the only truth, the law starts to sound a lot like desperation. Vincenzo grabs a pistol from a fallen crate, tosses it to Romano. "Vincenzo, left side of the door. You cover. I'll handle the back." Romano glares. "Taking orders from you doesn't sit right with me." Vincenzo smirks, voice low. "Then think of it as advice from someone who knows what dying in daylight looks like." Romano hesitates, then nods. The 2 men move, silent, coordinated despite their hatred. Elena hides behind a stack of barrels, clutching her phone, no signal. She could feel her heart pounding in her throat. Every echo, every click of a safety, sounded like her last moment. But when she looked at them, the detective and the mafia boss fighting side by side, she realized something impossible. They were mirror images of the same man, both trying to outrun the ghosts they made. The warehouse doors explode inward, men in suits pour in, gunfire erupts. Sparks fly as bullets hit metal. Vincenzo and Romano return fire. The calm daylight outside was replaced by chaos inside. Gunpowder smoke mixing with dust, sunlight turning red through shattered glass. Elena screams as a bullet whizzes past her head. She crawls behind a steel beam, covering her ears. Romano shouting, "They're flanking us." Vincenzo reloading. "Then make them regret it." He fires 3 quick shots. 2 men drop. The third hides behind a forklift, firing wildly. Vincenzo's movements were cold and precise, not rage, not panic, just experience. He'd done this before. Too many times. Romano gets grazed by a bullet, grimacing but steady. Elena whispers to herself, "Please, please let this stop." Her eyes flick to the side, a fallen phone on the floor, one of the gunmen's. The screen lights up. A message flashes across it. "Finish them." Boss watching. Boss watching. That wasn't Luca's voice, it was someone else's. Someone above him. Elena picks up the phone, heart racing. She sees a reflection, Luca entering through a side door, silent, gun ready. Elena shouts, "Vincenzo!" He turns, too late. Luca fires. The bullet rips through a wooden crate near Vincenzo's head. Luca mocking. "You never learned, old man. You built your empire on loyalty. Turns out, that's the easiest thing to sell." Vincenzo stands slowly, ice cold. "Vincenzo. And you'll die the same way, cheap." He fires. Luca ducks behind cover. The warehouse fills with dust and echoes. Romano covers the side door, shouting for Elena to stay down. But Luca circles around, cunning, quiet, heading for her instead. She felt the shadow before she saw him, heavy, close, reeking of sweat and gun oil. Luca pressed the cold muzzle of his pistol against her neck. Luca smirking. "You should have kept serving coffee, sweetheart." Elena gasps. Vincenzo freezes, his gun raised, but he can't shoot. Vincenzo calm but deadly. "Let her go, Luca. This isn't between you and her." Luca. "No, this is exactly between me and you. Because she's the reason you're still breathing." He shoves Elena forward slightly. She winces, but her eyes never leave Vincenzo's. Elena whispers, Don't give him what he wants." Vincenzo takes one step closer. Luca's gun shifts, aimed now at him. For a heartbeat, the world stood still again. Sunlight flickering through dust, blood dripping onto the concrete. And 3 lives caught in the same line of sight. Suddenly, Romano fires. Luca's gun jerks upward, the bullet hits the ceiling. Vincenzo lunges, tackles him. A brutal fight ensues, fists, gunfire, broken glass. Luca slams Vincenzo against a beam, snarling. Luca through gritted teeth. "You think you can stop me? You're already dead, Marino." Vincenzo rasps. "Then I'll make sure I take the trash out first." He headbutts Luca, slams his arm into a crate, disarming him. But Luca kicks him hard in the ribs, sending him sprawling, then escapes through a side exit, blood trailing. The air fell still again. Luca was gone. But his promise lingered. He'd be back. Vincenzo collapses against the wall, coughing blood. Elena rushes to him, panic in her eyes. "Elena, stay with me. Look at me." He nods weakly, half-conscious. Romano kneels nearby, checking his pulse. "Romano, he's losing too much blood. We can't stay here." "Elena, where can we go?" Romano grimly. "Somewhere he won't expect, somewhere quiet." He glances out through the shattered window, sunlight over the harbor. Outside, the city kept moving, unaware that its fate had just shifted inside a forgotten warehouse. One man nearly dead, one woman haunted, one detective torn between duty and debt. Later, they leave the warehouse, slipping through narrow alleys. Vincenzo limps, supported by Elena. Romano leads ahead, gun ready. Naples never looked brighter or more cruel. The daylight mocked them, spilling gold across the rooftops as if nothing had happened. They reach an old bakery with boarded windows. Elena forces the door open. Dust floats in the air like memory. Elena softly, "My mother used to work here. It's been closed for years. No one will find us." They settle Vincenzo on an old couch. Romano checks the window, tension still high. "Romano, you've got maybe an hour before he comes again. If we want to live, we need a plan." Elena looks down at Vincenzo, pale, breathing shallowly. Her voice breaks. "Elena, he risked his life for mine. I can't just leave him." Romano sighs, pulling a flask from his coat. "Romano, you remind me of my sister, always seeing good in devils." Elena quietly, "Maybe devils are just people who ran out of second chances." Romano looks at her, conflicted, then nods slowly. For the first time, the detective saw the truth. She wasn't protecting a criminal. She was protecting a man who had finally chosen to stop running. Vincenzo stirs weakly, whispering through pain. "Vincenzo. Luca. He won't stop." He has people on the inside, cops, politicians. You can't trust anyone. Romano tense. Then who do we trust? Vincenzo turns his head toward Elena, faint smile. Vincenzo. Her. Elena looks stunned, tears brimming. That single word, her, carried the weight of everything left unsaid, gratitude, guilt, and the fragile thread of faith. Outside, faint sirens rise in the distance, closer, louder. Romano urgent. They've found us. We need to move. Now. Elena grabs Vincenzo's arm, helping him up. The three move toward the back exit, footsteps echoing again outside. The city had turned against them. And as they slipped into the sunlight once more, they didn't realize that Luca was already there, waiting. A black car idles across the street. Luca watches through the window, gun in hand, blood on his sleeve. Luca whispers. Round 2. One gun click echoes. The sun was merciless that day, bright enough to hide death in plain sight. Behind that abandoned bakery, 3 fugitives stepped out into daylight, unaware that fate was already watching. Vincenzo limping, arm around Elena, Romano scouting the corners. Across the street, Luca watches from the idling black car, gun on his lap, face unreadable. Luca wasn't rushing this time. Revenge was sweeter when served slow, when you let the hunted believe they had hope left. He starts the car slowly, following them from a distance through narrow alleys. The trio walking down a market street, trying to blend in with the crowd. Elena keeps glancing behind her. Elena whispering. Something's wrong. I can feel it. Romano tense. We're exposed here. Keep moving. Vincenzo weak but sharp. Listen to her, detective. She's got better instincts than your whole unit. Romano shoots him a glare, but he doesn't argue. Somewhere between fear and fatigue, they started trusting each other, just enough to survive. But trust was exactly what would destroy them next. An old apartment above the harbor, small, dusty, with a view of the sea. Romano locks the door, drawing the blinds. Romano. This place isn't on record. It's where we used to keep informants, back when there were still people worth saving. Vincenzo sinks into a chair, grimacing from pain. Elena tends to his wound, tearing fabric from her sleeve. Elena softly. You've lost too much blood. You shouldn't even be standing. Vincenzo smiles faintly. I've been shot worse, once by someone I loved. Romano glances over, curious but silent. His voice carried something raw, regret wrapped in bitterness. Because every man who lives by secrets eventually becomes one. Elena cleans the wound, trembling slightly. Her eyes meet his, full of unspoken questions. Elena. You knew they'd come for you. The message I wrote, you didn't even look surprised. Vincenzo quietly. Because I've seen that handwriting before. Elena freezes. Elena. What do you mean? Vincenzo exhales slowly, his voice dark. Vincenzo. Years ago, a young man came to me. Said he wanted out of the streets. I gave him work, protection. He used to write coded messages, for me, for others. The same way you circled that bill. Elena heart pounding. My brother. Vincenzo nodding. Matteo. Elena's breath catches, tears fill her eyes. The name hit her like a gunshot. The brother she thought was gone, not dead, not missing, but involved. Elena whispering. You knew him? What happened to him? Vincenzo looks down, guilt shadowing his face. Vincenzo. He was loyal. Smart. Too smart. He found something he shouldn't have, files about government payoffs, dirty deals. He tried to expose it. And then, he disappeared. Romano leans forward, suspicion growing. Romano. You're saying the same people after you killed her brother? Vincenzo. I'm saying the rot goes higher than any of us. Luca didn't betray me for money. He did it because someone bigger ordered him to. And Matteo was the first to find out who. Elena furious, trembling. Who was it? Tell me. Vincenzo looks straight at her. Vincenzo. Your brother's last message named one man. A cop. Detective Angelo Romano. Silence. Elena's eyes widen. She turns slowly toward Romano, who's frozen in place. Elena disbelieving. No, he's lying. Romano's face hardens, not denial, not anger, something colder. Romano. He's twisting the truth. Vincenzo weak laugh. Am I? Then tell her how Matteo ended up on your missing persons list, under your own signature. Romano takes a step back. The room feels smaller, air heavier. The detective's silence was louder than any confession. His eyes, once sharp with justice, now looked like those of a man who'd seen too much, done worse, and justified it all in the name of the badge. Elena's tears spill over. Elena, you knew. You knew where he was. Romano snaps. I didn't have a choice. They were watching me too, my wife, my son. If I didn't follow orders, they'd. Vincenzo interrupting, cold. They already did. Matteo's blood bought you your promotion. Romano lunges forward, grabbing Vincenzo by the collar, gun drawn. Romano yelling. You don't know what it's like. You think this world gives choices? It doesn't. Elena screams. Elena, stop! Both of you. Vincenzo stares him down calm. Vincenzo, that's where you're wrong, detective. We always have a choice. Even now. Romano's hand shakes on the trigger. But before he can speak, a gunshot echoes from outside. The window shatters. A bullet grazes Romano's shoulder. He drops, gasping. Elena screams again. The bullet came from across the street, and with it came the sound of a familiar voice. Luca off-screen, shouting. Time's up. Bullets rain through the walls. Romano crawls for cover. Vincenzo drags himself to the corner. Elena hits the floor, covering her head. Gunfire continues, plaster flying, smoke filling the room. Romano clutches his wound, blood seeping through his sleeve. Romano gritting his teeth. They found us. I'll hold them off. Vincenzo hoarse. No. You'll die trying to clean a mess you started. Elena crawls to Vincenzo, fear in her eyes. Elena. There's a back exit through the kitchen. My mother used to take it when she worked here. Come on. Vincenzo nods weakly, tries to stand. Romano panting. Both of you. I'll cover it. Vincenzo. You'll never get redemption hiding behind a gun. Romano quietly. I'm not hiding anymore. He pushes a chair against the door, aims his pistol at the window, breathing steady. In that moment, the man she hated most looked human. The weight of guilt, the need to make it right, it all burned behind his eyes. Elena grabs Vincenzo and helps him toward the kitchen. Romano fires back through the window, glass shatters. Luca's men fall. Luca's voice calls out, furious. Luca. End it now. Romano ducks behind a wall, out of bullets. He glances at a photo on the floor, Elena's brother, smiling, from an old file. Romano to himself, voice breaking. I'm sorry, kid. He pulls the pin from a grenade clipped to his belt. Elena and Vincenzo stumbling through the alley behind the bakery. A second later, a massive explosion tears through the building. They both fall from the shockwave, dust and fire behind them. The blast swallowed the building, and with it, the sins of a man who had finally chosen his side. Elena covers her face, tears streaming. Elena crying. Romano. Vincenzo looks back, eyes hard. Vincenzo. He made his choice. Later that day, they hide in an old fishing hut near the docks. Sunlight bleeds through the cracks. Elena sits by the window, shaken but resolute. The explosion had silenced the city for an hour. But silence never lasted long in Naples. Vincenzo sits opposite her, pale but alive. He hands her a small flash drive, wrapped in tape. Vincenzo. Matteo hid this before he vanished. It's what started everything. Elena takes it with trembling hands. Elena. What's on it? Vincenzo. Names. Dates. Every deal between the city and the underworld. If this ever sees the light of day, the whole system burns. Elena stares at the drive, the weight of her brother's final message. Elena whispers. Then we finish what he started. Vincenzo smiles faintly. You sound just like him. They sit in silence, sirens distant, waves crashing softly. But outside, beneath that calm sky, the real storm was only beginning. Luca wasn't dead. He'd watched the explosion from his car and smiled. Luca's car. He talks on the phone, bruised and bloodied. Luca. Yes, boss. Romano's gone. Marino's hurt but alive, and the girl has the drive. A voice answers from the phone, distorted, deep, powerful. Voice cold. Then follow them. And when you find her, bring me the drive. Luca smirks, blood dripping down his cheek. Luca. As you wish. He starts the engine. The car rolls into the sunlight. And so, under the brightest daylight Naples had ever seen, death was once again on the move. Morning light painted the harbor in gold, beautiful, silent, and completely wrong. Because peace never lasted long for people who had danced with devils. Elena sits by the window of the fishing hut, holding the flash drive Matteo died for. Vincenzo sleeps in a chair, pale and weak but breathing. A faint knock echoes outside. Elena whispering. Romano? No answer. Just the creak of waves against the dock. She wanted to believe it was the detective, somehow alive. But deep down, she knew daylight only brought hunters now. Elena moves slowly toward the door, hand trembling on the handle. Suddenly, a shadow crosses the window. She gasps, stepping back. The door bursts open. Luca stands there, gun raised, blood still fresh on his sleeve. Luca smiling coldly. Morning, sunshine. Vincenzo jerks awake, reaching for his gun, but Luca kicks it away, sending it skidding across the floor. Luca. Relax, boss. You'll get your turn. I just came for what's mine. He gestures to Elena with his gun. Elena defiant. You mean what's Matteo's? Luca mocking laugh. Oh, right. The dead brother. Always so noble. You know what he told me before he died? She freezes. Luca leans closer, voice low. He begged me to save you. Said you were innocent. Luca chuckles darkly. Luca. Guess he didn't know how much you look like trouble. Vincenzo growls through his pain. Vincenzo. You touch her and I swear. Luca. You'll what? Bleed louder? You're finished, old manual. He turns the gun toward Vincenzo, but Elena suddenly grabs a metal pipe and swings. Luca dodges. The gun goes off, grazing Vincenzo's shoulder. The fight erupts. The quiet morning shattered. The air filled with smoke, shouts, and the echo of choices made long ago. Elena struggles with Luca. He slams her against the wall. The flash drive falls to the floor and slides near Vincenzo's feet. He sees it, the symbol of everything left to save. Vincenzo gritting his teeth. Elena, the drive. She reaches for it, but Luca grabs her hair, pulling her back. Luca. You think you can fix this world with a piece of plastic? There's always another boss, another deal, another name in the shadows. Vincenzo forces himself up, bleeding, staggering forward. Vincenzo. Maybe. But today, the shadows end. He tackles Luca through the open door. Both men crash onto the dock outside. The gun slides into the water. Elena runs out, terrified. Vincenzo and Luca fight, fists, blood, and rage. Seagulls scatter above them. Years of loyalty, betrayal, and sin came down to this. Not in darkness, but under the blinding light of day. Luca grabs a rusted hook from the dock, swinging wildly. Luca snarling. You're a dying relic, Marino. Vincenzo hoarse. Then I'll die clean. He ducks, grabs Luca's arm, twisting it until the hook pierces Luca's side. Luca gasps, falls to his knees. Elena watches in horror as Luca stumbles back, coughing blood. Luca weakly. You don't even know. Who gave the order? Vincenzo steps closer. Vincenzo. Then tell me. Luca's lips tremble. He smiles bitterly. Luca. You'll never touch him. He's already in the system. He's already one of them. He laughs, blood bubbling in his throat, then collapses, motionless. Silence. Only the waves remain. Elena kneels beside Vincenzo, pressing a cloth to his wound. Elena. It's over. It's finally over. Vincenzo weakly. No, it's just beginning. He hands her the flash drive again. Vincenzo. You'd take this to the press. Every name. Every deal. Let the world see. Elena shaking her head. They'll come after me. Vincenzo. They already have. The only difference now, you'll be ready. She stares at him, eyes filling with tears. Elena. Come with me. We can leave. Start over. Vincenzo softly, almost smiling. I crossed that line a long time ago, Elena. You can't unmake a monster. But you can end the story. She shakes her head, refusing to accept it. Elena crying. No. You don't get to leave me like he did, not you too. Vincenzo's hand trembles as he wipes her tear with blood-stained fingers. Vincenzo gentle. Your brother believed in you. So do I. He leans back, breathing slow, the sea breeze brushing over his face. For a man who built his empire on violence, his last act was mercy. Elena clutches his hand. The light flickers across his face as his eyes close. Distant sirens echo again, police approaching. She stands, trembling, holding the drive close. A few hours later. A small news office. Elena sits at a computer, uploading the contents of the drive. Screens flash, photos, bank logs, video clips, corrupt officials shaking hands with known crime lords. The truth Matteo died for. Finally saw daylight. It spread through the city like wildfire. Names that once commanded fear now faced ruin. News clips flash, journalists shouting, protests outside City Hall, police raids. The entire network shakes. Elena watches from the street, tears in her eyes, blending into the crowd. And somewhere, maybe in the wind, she could almost hear her brother's voice. You did it, Lena. She smiles faintly, walking toward the pier, the same one where it all began. At sunset, Elena sits on the dock, a sealed envelope beside her. She opens it, Vincenzo's handwriting. Vincenzo's voice narrated, faint echo. If you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't look for forgiveness, it doesn't belong to people like me. But hope, that belongs to you. Keep it alive. Don't let the daylight blind you. It hides more sins than the night ever could. Elena folds the letter, watching the sea swallow the sun. The city didn't change overnight, but for the first time it could. And all it took was one waitress, one message, and the courage to circle the truth. Sunlight glinting off the water, gulls flying overhead. Music rises, bittersweet, hopeful. And that was the waitress who warned the Mafia Boss. In a world where daylight hides danger, sometimes the smallest act, a single circled word, can save a life and change everything.